The story begins with a woman named Rose, braving the rain as she approaches her house. She locks the door of the building next to her house, which is protected by multiple locks. In the living room of the house is Maisie, Rose's daughter, busy decorating a cake. We learn that Maisie's father, Pa, is unable to speak or move, and Rose has to administer daily medications. Maisie blows out the candle on the cake, and a sense of joy fills the room. She presents gifts to her father and joins him for a photograph. Suddenly, a desperate stranger knocks on their door, seeking help. He tells them about an accident in the woods in which his brother was seriously injured. Rose, hesitant but moved by the plea for assistance, reluctantly opens the door to let him in. She examines the man's injuries and invites his brother to take him to the hospital. However, fearing the raging storm outside, the brother insists on Rose's help. In the pouring rain, Rose tends to the injured man, dressing his wounds on the living room table. During the conversation, the brother introduces himself as Matty. Matty goes to the bathroom to clean off the blood and hides a knife in his sock. Back in the living room, Matty finds his brother resting on the couch. Rose's maternal nature warms up to Matty, and she warmly invites him to enjoy the soup prepared by Maisie, leading to a series of questions about their journey and Matty's past. They discover that he's from London, and Matty explains they are headed to a place where a friend of Jack's is waiting for them with a boat. However, Matty seems a bit nervous about revealing the location or their true objective, until his brother Jack, who has regained consciousness, explains that they are going fishing. During their conversation, Jack tells the family that he needs to inform those waiting for them that they are safe. Rose tells him there is no signal in the area. She informs Jack that there is an old telephone booth on the road to the village, but that she can't take him there until the next morning, because of the storm. Hearing this, Jack asks to use the toilet, and Matty tells him to hurry. However, in the bathroom, Jack is shocked to discover they've taken the wrong bag. It soon becomes clear that the two brothers were involved in illegal activities and had stolen a large sum of money. As the bag of money is still in the car, they need to figure out a way to retrieve it. Therefore, Jack asks Rose to lend him her car, while Matty pretends to be sick. Jack claims that Matty left some things in the car and urgently needs to retrieve them, and Rose notices that Matty won't stop screaming. She offers to drive Jack to the car, but with the condition that Matty waits in a locked room since she doesn't want to leave her daughter with a man she doesn't know in the house. Moments after they leave, Maisie takes the key and talks to Matty. She hasn't spoken to anyone other than her mother until now. After a pleasant conversation, Maisie unlocks the door, and as she escorts Matty out, he asks her to accompany him upstairs. Upstairs, Matty finds a locked room, and Maisie explains it's her mother's laboratory, and nobody is allowed inside. They talk, and Rose reveals the story of her husband's accident and their heartbreaking loss of their son. When they reach the subject of the accident, Jack informs the family that he needs to inform those waiting for them that they are safe. Rose tells him there's no signal in the area. Jack says he must find a way to get in touch with them. Meanwhile, Maisie invites Matty into her room and shows him her belongings, including a map that allows her to travel the world without leaving the house. Jack returns to the house and continues to talk with his boss about the bag of money. His boss says he will come in person, revealing that the dead man in the car was his son. But Jack lies, saying his son is fine. We return to Matty and Maisie, and their bond grows stronger. Suddenly, they hear a news bulletin on the radio revealing the search for 3 men involved in a robbery in London. Matty tries to turn off the radio and struggles to explain to Maisie that he didn't do it and that it was an accident. Maisie encourages Matty to go back to his room before her mother returns. The climax is reached when Rose and Jack return home, and Jack instructs Maisie to get Matty out of the room. Suddenly, Jack sees a car's headlights, and when he goes to check, it's a police officer. After telling Matty and Maisie to hide in a locked room, Jack lets the police officer inside. The officer enters the house and informs Rose about a manhunt. Rose tries to act normal, but her husband's suspicious look draws the officer's attention. The officer also notices a photo of her daughter Maisie, which seems to have been cut out, and he becomes alarmed, calling for backup. As the officer becomes increasingly suspicious, Rose claims that her husband behaves like that when his medications are delayed. The officer suddenly asks why there is a picture of a long-lost girl, Maisie, in her house, and states that Maisie's family is missing. But then Jack emerges from behind and attacks the officer. Matty hears the commotion from inside as Maisie takes the opportunity to hit Jack with a vase. Eventually, the officer manages to subdue Jack but is shocked to see Maisie. Suddenly, Rose appears and shoots the officer, killing him. Maisie is conflicted and confused by the events as Rose quickly injects her father with drugs. After Maisie claims her father just spoke, Rose assures her that the police are not good. No one is good, which is why they need to protect Maisie from them. Locked in the basement, Jack and Matty are finally freed from their restraints and attempt to escape. They make their way out through another door outside the house, but Jack refuses to leave because the bag of money is still inside. This leads to an intense confrontation in which it is revealed that Matty suffers from a mental disorder that often causes him to have fits of rage and hallucinations. Jack tells him to wait at the bar. Driven by greed, he enters Rose's mysterious laboratory and climbs in through a window. Inside the room, he discovers a woman in restraints. In front of her are multiple screens, but the most shocking part is when he realizes the woman has been amputated, revealing Rose's true monstrous nature. He discovers that Rose is not Mize's real mother when he sees several newspaper clippings about the disappearance of Mize's family. Moreover, the woman lying there is Mize's real mother. Jack tries to rescue her, but the woman begs Jack to end her suffering. Meanwhile, Rose senses that something is amiss when she sees her sheep running outside. At that moment, she realizes that the brothers have escaped. Matty, on the other hand, hides in the barn but is confronted by Rose. Rose decides not to harm the boy, stating that Matty reminds her of her deceased son and that she will take care of him. Hearing this, Matty accepts Rose as his new mother. Meanwhile, Jack manages to find another way into the house, retrieves the money, and holds Mize captive, desperately trying to convince her of the truth about Rose while evil approaches the house. Jack leads Mize into a room where he reveals his true identity. He is Jenny, and Rose is not her real mother. Her real mother was driving the car that collided with Ross's that night, killing her husband and son. So Rose took Mize and her father to replace her family as revenge. He gives her the photos and necklace he took from Rose's room, triggering Mize's memories. In the midst of the chaos, Jack's boss stumbles upon the gang's car wreck while Jack ponders an escape plan. He instructs Mize to take her father to a truck while he takes Matty. Unfortunately, Matty is no longer in the barn, causing concern. Jack is not willing to leave without him, so he re-enters the house and finds Matty at the top of the stairs. However, Matty tells Jack to leave while he stays with his new mother. Rose shoots Jack and wounds him in the throat. In a dramatic confrontation, Jack screams that he will reveal Rose's dark deeds in her laboratory. Furious, Rose tries to force Jack to surrender, but he hits her from the front and takes possession of the weapon he dropped. Jack's attempt to block Rose is interrupted by Matty's intervention, who pushes Jack to the ground and begins to beat him while helping Rose to get up. Mize enters the house and assists Jack as they head to the car. At the same time, Jack's boss approaches. Seeking safety, they take refuge in the barn while Rose desperately tries to convince Mize that she was the one who raised her and took care of her. Suddenly, a car arrives on the scene, informed by Matty as MC. Jack gives Mize the car keys and orders her to leave with her father, while he heads in the opposite direction to meet MC. When he discovers that his son is dead, MC drags Jack out of hiding, confronts Rose about his need for money, and wants to kill both brothers for causing his son's death. Rose tells him that she can kill Jack if he wants, and that she doesn't want the money either, but he won't harm Matty during the confrontation. Jack stabs MC in the leg, and Rose shoots him in the head, while Matty prevents MC from killing Rose. The attacker manages to overpower Matty and Rose and attempts to kill them again. In a bold move, Matty hits the attacker and leaves in the car with her father, leaving Rose, Jack, and the attacker unconscious. As the movie approaches its end, Mize finds solace in a forest, while a police officer ensures that her father will be okay and promises to arrest Rose, who has escaped. Meanwhile, Rose and her new son Matty are seen having dinner together in their isolated new home. The mother watches surveillance cameras, and behind the screens is Jack, whose limbs have been amputated, reflecting the fate of Mize's real mother.